All right, for more on this, I'm joined by Lance Trover, former spokesperson for Republican Governor Doug Burgum's 2024 presidential campaign, and Democratic strategist and consultant Simon Rosenberg. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. As of July 2024, prices are 20% higher than they were in February of 2020, which is, people say, look, it's crushing their personal economies. So Simon, what does Kamala Harris need to do today in her first big policy speech, which is on the economy?
Yeah, I mean, I think she has to remind folks how much better the economy is today than it was when we came into office, and to lay out her agenda for how she wants to continue to create growth and opportunity for the American people. Her basic phrase about the economy is we want people not just to get by, but to get ahead, which I think is a very powerful way of talking about the economy. And today she's spending a lot of time talking about how she wants to continue to lower costs and make life more affordable for working people. It's a very sensible, common sense agenda that she's going to be laying out today. I think the new thing that's a little bit different from what Biden had been doing is a big emphasis on housing and lowering housing costs by building more housing in America to make housing more affordable across the country. I think that's going to be a really key part of her discussion today.
Lance, does she need to differentiate herself, in your opinion, from Biden?
Well, I think the first thing we need to remember is how we got here. You talked about it just now. Prices are up over 20%. She and Joe Biden are the reason it's here. Today is the anniversary of the signing of the Inflation Reduction Act, which, as we all know, dumped a ton of money into the economy and lit inflation on fire. So that's first and foremost. This is like the arsonist calling the fire department today. And look, a couple of her proposals, no taxing on tips and expanding the child tax credit, are things that the Trump campaign has already called for. But what's most disconcerting to me about this are these like Soviet-style price controls that she's going to call for. I mean, it's like, hey, the Soviets called; they want their price controls back. I mean, that is most
about the price controls on drugs.
On food. She's going to call for government intervention, price controls on food. That's something we tried in the 70s. It didn't work. I mean, the Soviets called. They want their economic policies back. I find that very disconcerting. I think it's something voters should pay attention to.
Let's talk about what Trump has been saying. He had a press conference yesterday. It began pretty tame, talking about the economy, staying on script. He talked about the high price of things, again, everything from housing to food. But he then spent a lot of time on personal attacks. Here's some of that.
I think I'm entitled to personal attacks. I don't have a lot of respect for her. Virtually 100% of the net job creation in the last year has gone to migrants. Actually, beyond the number of 100%, it's a much higher number than that. Kamala is reportedly proposing communist price controls, the Maduro plan, like something straight out of Venezuela. She actually called me weird. He's weird. She's weird in her policy.
100% of jobs has not gone just to migrants. All right. This seems to be a strategy to show that he's doing press conferences, to show that Kamala Harris is not doing press conferences. Axios put it very succinctly this way, that the Trump campaign is hoping his press conferences will goad Harris into more unscripted appearances and interviews where they believe that the vice president will stumble. So far, though, Harris isn't taking the bait. All right. So are these pressers doing what he intends for them to do, Lance?
2-0. 2-0. What 2 press conferences he's done in the last week. How many has she done? 0. They won't even commit to doing one by the end of August. And I think that's a travesty for the voters in this country, that she is not stepping out and taking questions from reporters unscripted, not in front of a teleprompter, not with a scheduled list of reporters to call on. I mean, we're 80-some days out of an election, and we have a presidential candidate who isn't willing to step in front of the media and answer questions. What does that tell you in terms of what they're doing? Now, look, I get it. I get the play and what they're trying to do. But at one point, this honeymoon's going to come to an end. Post-Labor Day, voters are going to start keying in, and I think they're really going to start looking at these candidates closely, their economic policies and where they stand. So I'm not sure the strategy can play out post-Labor Day for sure.
Lance points out, too, and all, Simon, but when you watch these press conferences and the way that they go, do they help Trump, or is it backfiring?
No, I mean, Donald Trump's performance in the last few weeks have been some of the most disastrous events that we've seen in modern American political history. I mean, he's dropped 6 points in the polls in the last few weeks. Kamala Harris now has a lead in all the battleground states. The election has changed, and I think it's changed in part because with Biden's struggles now not being in the news every day, we've gotten to see a lot more about Donald Trump, and it's been scary stuff. I mean, some of the stuff he said yesterday reminded us of how fundamentally unfit and unwell he is. And so I do think this has been a really rough patch for the Trump campaign. I think the JD Vance pick was also something that's dragging them down. And somehow they've got to change the fundamental dynamic of this race. They're bringing in a whole new team to try to shake things up now. We've learned yesterday, and they need to do that because right now we're winning and they're losing. And if they don't somehow fundamentally change the trajectory of this election, they're going to lose the election.
I got to ask you about this investigation that was done here at CNN, showing the secretly recorded video of one of the architects of Project 2025. He's also a former cabinet member for the Trump administration and the director of the RNC team that rewrote the party's official platform. Trump says he doesn't know anything about Project 2025. He said that publicly several times. But here is what one of the architects of Project 2025 said about it.